Everyone still looks uncomfortable.
Perhaps they'll all remember that old saying, power corrupts.
Hello and welcome to Second Officer Slog, episode 52. I'm your host, Em, and with me is my regular number one, Jackson.
Star Trek.
That says it all, really.
It's a very special episode of Second Officer Slog. I've got to take it down here for anyone listening. Because Discovery Season 2 is over, and we've been waiting to get off this ride for weeks. And now we are off this ride.
We're off this ride. We cannot be more off this ride.
Do we just want to get into it?
Yeah, sure.
That's your cue to get into it.
Why don't you get in?
Because I'm not the host, but I can. If you want me to, I can. We basically had an existential crisis after I watched this episode, but before you watched this episode. And
what happened was I've listened to everyone be sad. So I guess I'll do this. Whatever. It might as well fall to me. I'm the host. So
I was doing it, and now I feel like I did it badly.
No. What actually happened was when you said let's get into it, I thought you meant the episode, so I was trying to pull it up on Memory Alpha because I hadn't done that yet.
No, because we have been vague enough around our feelings that we should just address some stuff.
Okay, so we're tired. We're tired of this fucking Star Trek show. You know, you've listened to this. It's terrible. But also, it's really like throwing into harsh relief like the limits of what we feel like we can do right now in talking about Star Trek. Yes. Part of this is we run a explicitly like communist, anti-imperialist Gundam podcast where we talk about that stuff. And at its best, Star Trek is a show that firmly believes that if everyone's a good actor, imperialism can be both benign and like helpful to people. And we're just not those people anymore. We're about to go read the book about Wesley Crusher's Native American space travel powers. And I want to die thinking about that.
I think at its best, Star Trek can be critical of those things. I'd want to believe it can be.
Yeah, sometimes it is. But even
it's rarer.
Like... Yeah, and no one writing Star Trek has the words to do it justice, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of, one of the most self-critical Star Trek shows is Enterprise. Like, we do a lot of work pulling things out of shows and books and media made by, at best, usually nominally liberal men. And sometimes
and
women now. And sometimes you get things like the Shatnerverse stuff, which only exists because once William Shatner's pleased, then the two and the Reeve Stevens can write whatever the fuck they want.
Yes.
And so then you get like
he's gonna fuck all the women and beat Worf in a fist fight, but then it's gonna say something about the fundamental fragility of the Federation.
Like that is in Star Trek. That book, Avenger specifically, I'm thinking of, is one of the most cogent, like, unflinching critiques of the, because usually the critiques of the Federation are placed as things to be resisted against and be like, no, we can be good. Whereas that just, like, Kirk literally turns to the camera and goes, yeah, this is all going to die and sooner than we think because it's broken, but I guess we'll just keep living our lives. And that's really good. But that happens very rarely, right? We get some books that like speak through things and are very interesting. But on the whole, we've got a lot of books that are just going to be some events, our Star Trek books. We read those Mission Gamma books. They started off beautifully, and then they like they undid some of the best arcs in that because the status quo had to return because the original author had to wrap everything up in a new book. And so these things have problems, and most of our conversations about these things are going to be critiquing the politics of Star Trek, which that don't change that much week to week from a increasingly leftist perspective that just means the same tired points over and over again. So that's one thing. The other thing is the show is really bad and we just can't do it anymore. And the cumulative effect of all this is that we don't know if we can keep doing this.
Yes. Which is not to say that we're done doing this,
yes,
but that we're definitely taking a break, and that break is an amount of time that we cannot measure now.
We don't know how we'll feel about Star Trek next week, let alone next month. but we're definitely actively more. I wouldn't even say that I'm like more left. I think a better term is more cogent and like coherent in what I believe, right? I was generally just like, oh, I am definitely socialist and things are good and it is good to resist but that was in a general term. But now like we have done through a podcast about anime, which we fucking read Lenin for. Like,
yeah, no, the thing, like, whatever, moving further left, moving further right, whatever. The actual thing that happened is I went from nebulous socialist to like coherent communist, and Star Trek broke at that point to me a little bit.
And it's not so we don't like Star Trek or have affection for it, but doing close reads on it every week is going to break us down even more, because we have such a specific way we're going to approach that that has like materially changed since we started this podcast.
Yes.
Which is fine, and I think I would like to come back to this podcast at some point, but it does mean we're not going to be reading. We're not going to come back in a month and talk about Wesley Crusher's Vision Quests, because oh god,
I might read about Wesley Crusher's Vision Quest, but I never want to talk into a microphone about it.
Yeah. And so what that means is we're keeping the feed up. The podcast isn't going away. I mean, it kind of is. We are taking a break, like I say, a not undecided period of time. But the feed will be here if we ever want to record things about Star Trek into a microphone. This is where it will go. We still have a scheduled Patreon episode for this show coming up in a month or so, and we'll do that. Like, we are not anti doing that.
Also, we're absolutely going to watch Into Darkness at some point, because I know everyone's looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's not like we don't mean to sound like, oh, we can never watch Star Trek again kind of level. We're just tired and need to back away, and our efforts and time and critical energies are better spent elsewhere. But if you want us to talk to microphones about Star Trek, it's not just that you can, right? Like, everyone knows you can, but you won't be imposed. We're not going to be like, oh, we're so tired, don't make us do this. Feel free. Like, it's an option, it's right there. We'll be very happy to. But as a regular show, we are doing something else.
We're to be announced, but we're done with this. As always, we're going to be talking about Star Trek in the Discord. Like, that's going to stay up.
Yep.
My dumbass is definitely going to watch Picard in season 3 of this show to figure out what happens, how badly they can mess it up further.
Yeah, because I still care. It's not like I don't care. I still care so much.
Yes, it's because I care that I can't do this anymore. Because I'm feeling like, literally yesterday when I was at work, I was looking at everyone reacting to this episode, and I had read a summary before I watched it because I needed to know what everyone was going to be complaining about all day, and I didn't care. And then I realized that my not caring extended to everything. I was like, yes. I just don't care about Star Trek right now, and that sucks because, as we've said before, this is maybe the single most fundamental formative thing to me when I was young. And I still hold a lot of affection for that, and I still try to take a lot from Star Trek, but I feel like on some level I am now trying to get blood from a stone, and I'm tired. There's better ways to spend my energy and everyone else's energy who's listening to a podcast.
Yes. So if you were very excited for us to read some upcoming books, that I apologize. But the podcast we're replacing this with will be good. So I hope everyone's excited.
Yes.
There will not be a reduction in content. In fact, there might be some more content.
There will definitely be more content, because what the thing that's replacing this is bi-weekly. I'm comfortable saying that.
Yeah, it's bi-weekly, which I guess means less content than the last 2 months, but the content will be better and not us going, oh god, and feeling our soul. Remember when this series started and we were talking about how actively Star Trek was interrogating all these things?
Yeah, because they were.
They were.
That's the worst part. It's not that we didn't, that we were just galaxy braiding and came down to Earth. They were, and then they fired all those writers with good cause. I'm not going to say, oh, I wish those people were back. Because by all accounts, those people sucked. And it's good for the people who are working on the show that they have writers, people in the writer's room who are in charge of that thing that are not awful people. But for me watching the fucking show, it's been abysmal, and we might as well talk about the episode now.
Yeah, so now it's time to talk about the episode. Might not go that long. It is Such Sweet Sorrow Part 2.
Yes. 14th episode. It aired the 18th of April, 2019. It was written by Michelle Paradise, Jenny Lumet, and Alex Kurtzman. It was directed by Olatunde Onsunzami. Here we are. What happens in this episode, Jackson? Please tell me what happens other than fighting, because most of it's fighting.
Fighting happens. Fighting. So the big plan... So last week, if you remember, everyone had to evacuate the Discovery because Burnham was going to take everyone into the future, and then her 10 friends. I
cannot believe you were summarizing last episode.
No, this has a purpose.
Okay.
Because because her friends are like, no, we will stay with you. This episode begins. The entire ship is full. Everyone's on the ship. Full ship of people all ready to go to the fucking future. Don't ask me why. But I was immediately like, wait, didn't you just get everyone off the ship? Why is everyone back? Whatever.
Because the sphere data was taking over the ship. Remember, they couldn't. They were going to destroy the ship, and then they couldn't.
Originally, the plan was for literally the Discovery to be empty as she took it through. It was going to be an autopilot.
But they couldn't do that because the sphere had taken over all the systems. Though I don't understand why that means they couldn't just. I don't know. That part I'm not sure about because it sounds.
Well,
yes.
Last week I had read it was just going to be her friends. Everyone else had gone. But now the whole ship's just stocked because we need to have a lot of drama happening. Anyway, big fight. Enterprise and Discovery versus Leland's fleet. Enterprise is backed up by 1 million shuttles and pods. And then Leland shows up and they're like, you may have big ships, so we outnumber you. And then he's like, no, you don't. And all of the ships turn into tiny little drones. And they're all drones, so they're pilotless. All of the pods and shuttles are pilotless because we don't meet anyone who goes in the ships except one person later. And so it's just completely contextless X-Wing fights for the whole episode.
Yes.
It's hell. The battle rages for a long, long time, but then the big thing that happens is that Burnham and Spock go into space. Burnham activates the time thing to make the future portal happen, but then realizes that it won't let her go into the future. She doesn't know why. But then she realizes that it's because she has to go back and make the signals happen so that the signals can bring them to that point, because the signals, each of them represent a thing they need for this fucking MacGuffin quest. Like there was one that got them Jet Reno, who could help charge the thing. There was one to Kaminar, which allowed the fucking Kelpians to break free of their oppressive cycle so that they can show up in this battle and fight them. There was one that borrowed for the time crystal. They just become the MacGuffin lights, and she goes back and lights them. And then they fly Discovery 930 years into the future, and that's it. The portal closes behind them. They're all gone, and a few characters remain behind to tell Starfleet Command that it definitely exploded, and that no one ever mentioned anything about this show ever again, because don't you care that much about canon? And the answer is no. If you cared about canon, you'd have mentioned Cybok. So you're full of shit. Is what I'm saying. But that's the broad plot. There are a couple of subplots. One being that in the middle of all this, Stamets gets impaled, and then while he's going into a coma, he was like, I came back for you, we're going to be together now. Because he does not have a character. He's a different person every week.
Yes.
And then that's the resolution of that, supposedly. The Queen of Zahir goes out in a shuttle to help them, and it's all played as if it's going to be a big sacrifice. It's not. She just goes out to help them, and it's fine. Ash, so Ash Tyler left in the middle of the battle. Like, I have to leave in the middle of this battle. I have a secret mission to do. His secret mission is to get the Klingons, and then they come back and help. And it should be extremely cool because Ash Tyler's fighting with the Klingons again. They never address what that means about his fake death. Don't worry about it. Trust the mystery. But apparently no one else thought to just go and get people if communications were down.
Yes.
Because apparently you can just warp in and out that fast now. I don't know. It is weird how much this is an episode that exists to make the season line up with canon, but it doesn't care about continuity or a consistent universe in any meaningful way. So I think that's everything. Once they go to the future,
did you talk about Admiral Cornwall dying?
Oh no, I didn't. Cornwall dies.
Yeah.
When Georgie's fighting Leland, because Leland comes aboard to get the sphere data, and Georgie wins. she traps him in the sphere chamber and magnetizes the floor. Which,
the spore chamber, not the sphere chamber.
This fucking show. This is why we're stopping. The spore chamber apparently the rest of the ship doesn't have magnetized floors, which doesn't make any sense considering the other ship had it all everywhere. And she just magnetizes the floors and kills all the like nanobots inside of him. Which, if that's all it took, why not just magnetize the whole ship immediately? Which disabled all the control ships around them so they could blow them all up. I saw people saying that that was is it that easy to take out control? I just took it as it like kind of disorientating control. Control's not in Leland. I mean it is, but control's not. It's not like that's the only part where the brain of control exists. Control is all of them. It would have been fine, in time. Cornwell dies for no reason. There's an unexploded photon torpedo in the Enterprise, and she has to manually activate the blast door, which is the most boring sacrifice. And that's it. That's the big fight. They go to the future. She makes the signals happen, and that's the end. The final minutes are the Enterprise being like, getting a nice send-off. Spock shaves his beard, and you're like, you should have kept the beard. And Ash Tyler gets promoted to Commander of Sector 31, which he is going to make more transparent and less evil. Good job with that. That's it. That's the whole episode.
Yeah. Correct. Spock shaves.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay. You know what? I wasn't really listening. I'll be honest with you. I was not really listening.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So, if we're going to do this, we're going to write this out, we're going to do this properly. Episode goes on for fucking ever.
Yep. So maybe the thing that I hated the most in this episode, and this is an episode full of bad things, but it's like a total throwaway thing and not remarked upon at all. But when they're prepping the Red Angel suit and they're like trying to build it rapidly, the guy who's normally in a wheelchair is in like crutches or whatever, and like can't do the job fast enough because of his disability. And Burnham's like, please leave. And I felt all joy die in my heart.
The exact opposite of what Star Trek's meant to be.
Yes. That character exists to show that people with actual physical disabilities and not super eyes like Geordi LaForge still have a place in Star Trek. And they fucked it up. The one thing you just had to not do is like write this character as too handicapped to help. And they fucking didn't do that. They failed to do this one thing. And it's like literally like a 1 second shot. And I was like, they really just don't fucking care, do they? Like the people making the show and acting the show are all on point and doing their best, and nobody writing it gives a shit.
Yeah, like that is, we have our broad complaints and our critiques of Star Trek's entire framework, right? Like we are very specifically and pointedly anti-imperialist in a way that Star Trek can never be, because Starfleet is an imperialist organization. And so those critiques come very easily. But when taken on its own terms and its own utopia, like we don't believe in it, but it presents its own utopian vision from time to time, and will have infinite fucking speeches in this show about what Starfleet means. This is Starfleet. Starfleet is a promise.
This is Starfleet. Get it done. Fuck off. Not even Archer with all his like folksy Bush era bullshit would say something as stupid as that.
Nope. And you can't even... And in the middle of all that, in the middle of saying, no, we do believe this is good and a good world, and these critiques aren't who we are, they can't even fucking write a disabled character without shitting on them.
Yes. So that part sucked. What else is on my mind? The world's most amateur attempt at doing the hallway fight from Inception.
And they did it. They clearly rotated it because you know it's rotating because all of the wide shots are with a locked down camera.
Well, yeah, the camera's just locked down, and then there's just like debris and shit falling with whatever direction they're going. But they forgot the part where you have to choreograph a fight. They didn't do that.
Yeah, they just kind of stand on whatever surface and punch each other.
And then like punch each other poorly. And one of the people here is Michelle Yeoh, who literally has martial arts training for film.
Yep. Yeah, no. One of the most famous and active people for being good at fighting on camera.
Yes.
Like, this is as good as it gets, and this is what you give us?
Yeah.
It's a really bad fight. They try to introduce, because she's doing the fight kind of with Nan for a while. Not for the whole fight, because she doesn't actually matter. But they try to introduce some really embarrassing sexual tension between them.
Yes.
As one of them goes, yum, yum.
Yes. Yep.
Because
Georgie's literally like, you got a boner for killing Leland? And she replies, yum, yum.
Yep.
It's bad. It's bad.
There's a really, really terrible line that I hated. Speaking of just all throwaway lines that are flying in the face of everything good about Star Trek. Saru is captain and is like, you are about to see the face of a human being. It is not a human being. Because it's just an evil AI. And it's Control and it's Leland. And everyone's like, hey, Leland. But...
Hi, Chris. I'm Leland.
Hi, Chris. One, yes, he should have done that. If we had, that's the level we've got to. I would have marked out if someone said, "Hi, Chris."
Absolutely.
That's the bar we're at now. That's all it takes. But Star Trek's about the opposite of that, which is it's something that doesn't look like a human, and we will treat it as a person. That's the fucking riding ethos of the whole franchise, supposedly.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go all the way back to the Corbinite maneuver. That's literally what that episode's about.
It's what it's about. Like, even at its grossest, that's kind of been the whole point. And now it's like, no, here's something that looks like a human, but actually it's an evil AI. So we can't treat it like Control has sentience and personhood and wants and needs, right? But that's no one cares because it's evil.
Yes. Also, the character who's depicted entirely as willowy and vacillating between pacifism and like this weird, like supernatural aggression, who spends all his time pruning his plants, is also the person who reads Sun Tzu, and the only other person who points it out is the other Asian person on the show. I'm like, your coding is so fucked up now. What have you done, Star Trek?
Yeah, no, Saru quotes Sun Tzu, and then Georgia's like, Sun Tzu, and then he's like, how do you care? You're a Terran. And I'm like, yeah, Terran, that's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I'm thinking when you have the Asian person go, you know Sun Tzu.
Yeah.
Sucks. To the fake space weird creatures that are already nebulously coded because
I
of how you
hadn't put
fuck
it
this
all
up.
together until the point where he starts quoting Sun Tzu, and I'm like, oh, right, you literally have the fucking willowy Asian mystic who gardens all the time.
Yeah. And because we've been thinking of them as cattle and then they had head teeth, we hadn't come around to the fucked up coding on Saru until they had him quote Sun Tzu to show Yo's face.
Yes.
Yep. You see why we are done with this.
Remember the best Star Trek movie, Wrath of Khan, where the entire thing, like the plot of that movie, centers around the fact that Khan, because he's from the century he's from, doesn't understand what three-dimensional thinking is.
Yes.
And so Kirk just owns him by making his ship go up and down.
It's incredible. God, that fight.
This entire episode is about two starships surrounded by a disk of other evil starships and fighting entirely on that disk as the camera rotates around it, pointing out very obviously that this is just a flat battle happening forever for literally 45 minutes.
Straight up 45 minutes, and every shot has like all these explosions happening in the background, like it's the beginning of episode 3.
Yes, the one of the best battles in Star Wars.
We're here to say it today, but like
because it doesn't actually show a battle, it's just a song and some visuals, and then the plot happens, which is all you really want.
But you know the Count Dooku scene in the thing, and because it's fucking 2005 Star Wars movie, every single shot has the battle happening in the background. They're doing this in this episode, but it's all it's even more meaningless than that.
Yes, because the Enterprise has like 200 drones or like attack fighters or whatever those are, versus Leland's like thousands and thousands of little spear drones.
Yep. And also there's like EPS explosions every 5 seconds.
Yes.
Just constantly. Just everything is popping off.
Yes, there are like just sparks, like multiple sparks everywhere all the time.
And all of it's meaningless. The one time, not Cowboy, Stamets gets impaled, but that's meaningless and only exists to set up the fact
gets
that
impaled by like a turbo lift in their giant, ridiculous turbo lift shaft breaking and falling down exactly as you would expect would happen through the like glass ceiling onto the hallway where people are walking.
Yeah, they show why no technical manual has ever shown a central turbo lift chamber with like a million rails crossing over each other, because it all explodes out and destroys everything.
Yes.
Because that would be stupid.
So yeah, you have a big Star Wars battle, but then they shoot it like it's the fucking Trek 09 movie, because there's like this scene where the Enterprise is like, we have to protect Discovery and get in the way of all the battle, like all the fire that's being focused on Discovery. And so they like come into like an X formation, and then the camera does a huge spin around them as a bunch of explosions happen. Like, isn't this the coolest thing? And I was like, I can't think of anything I less come to Star Trek for than this.
Yep. And even in like the bridge scenes, right? Like the whole thing is just whip pans, constantly whip pans. Everything is like shields down to this, and someone else will say one thing, and each of these things will have a handheld whip pan. And that's just the kinetic energy of the episode, because apparently everyone forgot that people don't need the camera to be shaking around if you just make the thing exciting. That was why everyone got mad about the Abrams movies, which this was supposed to be a response to. And you look at the Battle of the Binary Stars, which is also a ludicrous space battle. It was not shot like this.
No, it was not.
It was a lot of people standing on bridges and a lot of tense action. It was not this.
Also, the Enterprise just has repair droids that come up and fix the fucking ship.
Yep, it's just the fucking scene as they escape from Naboo.
It's just all the R2-D2 units are out here fixing up the ship.
Yeah, but fucking Pike doesn't give the one who wins a big ceremony, so cowards.
God. Oh.
What?
I hate it. This show killed the podcast. What do you want?
Alex Kurtzman did what? No, Rick Berman could not.
Yep.
Pike and Cornwell are both having a fucking dick measuring contest over who's going to sacrifice themselves.
Yes.
And Cornwell's argument as to why it shouldn't be Pike is, this isn't where your journey ends, and I think you know that. Because apparently everyone's read the fucking script.
But also, literally 5 minutes before, Burnham's like, oh no, I'm trapped in the time crystal vision, and Spock's like, no, that's not a real thing. You can just do whatever you want.
Yep. But
not if you're Christopher Pike, because he is burdened by lore, unfortunately.
But not lore.
No, if actual lore just like hung on to Christopher Pike's back and forced him into an explosion, that would be much better.
This show would be better if lore was in it. Again, these are the bars we're reaching.
Yep.
God. Yeah, that's terrible. Is there anything else that we've missed?
I mean, they literally show us Burnham doing everything that the Red Angel did, like we're idiots who didn't watch the television show. Exhaustively, for minutes, just going to a place, doing the thing, showing scenes of the thing that we watched in the episode, going to another place again and again and again and again and again, because it happens 5 times.
Yeah, and it's all her, and I'm like, so was anything her mum? Was her mum the only
showing up to save Burnham? That's literally the only thing she ever did.
She showed up to save Burnham, and she mind-muddled with Spock, because if Burnham mind-muddled with Spock, that would have fixed things too quickly.
Yes.
Because they introduced a second Red Angel into this for no reason.
Yep.
But all the signals,
fucking terrible show.
Right? Yeah, all the signals were Burnham and all of that stuff. So that means that even though her evidence, they didn't even do the cute thing, right? Where she goes to the asteroid, right?
Yes.
Which is her evidence for when her mum shows up. That's why she knows that when she turns off the air, her mum will come. But they don't have her watching her mum come up to save her. They have her saving herself.
Yes.
And I'm like, 2 seconds, I did your own bad show better than you. Yes,
literally, her mom coming to save her is a fluke. That's all that happened.
Because then in canon, and as a child, the only times it was her mum. The other times she was saved was herself. Which makes no sense, but trust the mystery. About infinite scene, like half the scenes of this episodes are someone going, I need to sacrifice myself, and the other one going, no, I do not do that, and the other one going, but I must. And that's the whole conflict. That's all. And
then nobody dies except Cornwell. So.
Nobody dies except Cornwell. But like that happens to Spock multiple times. He's like, no. Yeah. He's like, don't get in the shuttle, and he's like, I must go in the shuttle, and she's like, okay. And then when he's in the shuttle, he's like, oh, my shuttle's been impacted. I can't go into the future with you because I'm needed on another television show. It's a very important one. And then she's like, no, you can't. They can beam you aboard. And he's like, no, you must go without me. And then they do. There's some shots towards the end as they go through the big time wormhole.
Yes.
that should have been really good. Cause
you know what I like? You know what I like? That scene in The Matrix where they go above the clouds and then all of the fucking Sentinels fall to Earth.
Yeah.
That's literally what this is. This is just an entire episode made up of shots of other better movies.
Like Trek 09.
Like Trek 09, The Matrix Revolutions, and Iron Man. Fucking The Avengers.
Right, yeah, because she literally has Iron Man, which, like, they did this scene in Battle of the Banner Stars. I don't think that I'm fairly sure they made an aesthetic attempt to not just do Iron Man.
Yes, they did. They did.
And in this, it's literally just the Iron Man shot. Like, she's in a black room and they've put some lights on her face.
Yes.
And I remember because she was in a different suit before, but it didn't look like that. They had a slightly different, more intentional aesthetic.
Yes.
Yeah, these are the movies it's pulling from, and they're better than this. But the thing I was thinking of was, you know, the wide shots where the Discovery's going through the portal. Yeah. It made me think of that shot from the opening where the Discovery's going up from a distance from the first season. And I was like, they could have, like, that should be a really cool moment where you see an abstract shot from the opening made real and are, like, bowled over by the just wonderment of space. That's what the show should be. And it's a fucking Iron Man.
Well, this is the episode where I realized that the opening, because for some reason I was not paying attention, the opening is just littered little time crystal pieces and has been this entire season.
No!
Because there's a big time crystal that floats above, but then every shot of the Discovery just has like little green bits.
Was that true in episode 1?
I don't know, but it's been true for a while.
Hell. But yeah, those are the big bits. Ash Tyler gets Section 31 because fuck it, who gives a shit? Who cares? Give me the show where he's just a spy. It's got to be better than this. It can't be worse. 2 Klingons do say today is a good day to die, and I was like, oh right, I remember Star Trek. It was a good show. Right, the Klingons show up and yell in Klingon, "Today is a good day to die," and like charge into this battle, and I'm like, right. I'm not too jaded for Star Trek. But then the
Kelpians show up who have learned how to operate Ba'ul ships and now just have a fleet of like super fighters that Michael Burnham has deliberately known that she is going to sick on the universe. The super predators are real and it's her fault.
Right, because it makes them, if we make them super predators, they can help us in this battle because the Mass Effect bar has to go up.
Yes.
And that's the whole thing. And it's like, great, you made the Warriors of Kaminar and they can all do and I'm like, but you made them super predators. Knocking on the door of the people making the show, you made them super predators. Yeah. I can't believe this.
I was hoping they'd just forgotten. And yet, nobody shot head teeth after that one episode, so...
Yes. They did all this and nobody shot head teeth. So they're all cowards.
Yeah.
And now they're 950 years in the future and no one will talk about... And the like lore bow they wrapped it up with is no one can talk about Discovery or Michael Burnham.
Yes. The thing that this really drives home, and this, like I probably would have been more been whatever, okay, the season's bad, maybe it'll be better, is they went out of their way, and Kurtzman has actually said the reason that this season ends the way it is so the fans who complain about why is the Discovery so technologically advanced and Michael Burnham's so important we never hear about her are satisfied. And it's just Kylo Ren welding the mask together. You are just giving ammunition to the most aggressive parts of your fan base who insist that nothing interesting ever be done with the thing they like. And if that's what Star Trek is, I'm glad to be done, because fuck that.
Yep. Like, that is the worst shit. And it makes me actively terrified of all of the rest of the stuff. And I guess I just like the option is to just stop caring and stop watching. But I won't. I will keep watching. But I just won't put it in an audio file for everyone to listen every week.
Yeah. And then they go 930 years in the future, 30 years past where Dr. Burnham went, so they can hopefully meet her where she is now.
Yes. No, it's the same. They want to get to the same point as she is.
No, they want to go to the point where she is now, not the point where she came in 20 years ago or whatever. Yes. And then, that means, and Kurtzman has said, we want to do a whole season about them in the future. We don't have to be burdened by lore. We can just do whatever. I would like to point out, this is only 100 years after Daniels exists in his present. Because there is stuff 900 years in the future. It's the Enterprise J, the fucking time ship.
Wait, so hang on a second.
I don't think they know that. I don't think Kurtzman knows what a Daniels is if you asked him.
So, the Enterprise... I'm just going to look this up.
I was looking this up, and Daniels is from the 31st century. They are going to the 32nd.
Enterprise J is a bit. That's like 2700, I think.
Sure, but Daniels himself is from the
Yes.
31st.
Enterprise J is 26th century, and then Archer going to the room with the books is 31st century. So they have gone there. It does exist, and there's time cops.
Yeah, it's like a weird Doctor Who space. Nobody wants to go there.
They already did this, and it sucked. And now they've gone like a little bit past that. And it's not going to have anything to do with that. They're just going to be in weird alien spaces. Because we were like, oh, maybe season 3 could be okay, and we'll be back on board. And no, because there are quotes. There are quotes that he's like, we're gonna be free of law. We can tell any stories we want. We're gonna finally spend some time with the bridge crew. Fuck off.
You said that. Also, they said that last season going into this one, and boy, that sure didn't happen. We got one episode about Ariam's friends who never existed before now, right before she died. So fuck off.
Yep. It's awful, and that means that they're gonna like make canon the rest of like thousands of years of Star Trek history in a really stupid way that I hate.
Yes.
Like the knowing that this is the team, not like the specific team, but this is generally the production team that is about to make what happens after Nemesis real and not just a nebulous space for fans to play in.
Yep.
They're about to make that real, and they're also about to make 1,000 years after that real, essentially. Well, 800 years, I guess, by that point. But they're about to make those 2 points real in a way that I think could just be the most damaging thing for Star Trek. Because at this point, it's literally just a thing that old nerds and us are into, and there are books about. Until Discovery came back, that's all it was. And that was fun. And now they're doing a thing that the Kelvinverse could never do by being a different universe, of making things concrete with a team I don't trust to do anything but regressively like make the universe worse. And it sucks.
Yep.
900 years in the future. What does this mean about the short where Discovery was already sentient and 600 years into the future? Because they already did that.
Also, they literally said Michelle Yeoh is going to be part of the Section 31 show. They literally pitched it as she's going to get her own show, and she's trapped in the future. So that all that means is we have a fucking fake Voyager happening now. But it's bad, and it's going to be 14 episodes or 13 episodes. Who knows? But like, I don't want this show. What can they do in that space that's interesting? Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing, because you need the context of things. Like, you understand the urge to free yourself from the bullshit of Star Trek to make Star Trek happen, but this show has not done a single episode of regular ass Star Trek. Yep. They have not made like Magic Makes Sense Man Go Mad is closest.
Yes. New Eden's really good. New Eden's also and that's really one good. Of those.
But even that has like the sphere stuff. Like they haven't just done the ship goes to a place and a thing happens. So if they're going into the future so they can do that, then no. Like I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be a huge ridiculous arc.
They didn't need to spend 2 seasons throwing Discovery into 900 years in the future to protect the other future from a rogue AI to get Star Trek happening. It's not that difficult. Their whole charter is to go out and look at new planets and go, what's here? And maybe we can solve some problems.
Yep. And also, does this mean that she's going to get to her mum, who's been living in a world where all sentient life doesn't exist, but because they've saved that world, her mum will still be there, but sentient life will exist? Like, you suddenly get into like very boring time travel questions, which I don't care about, but the show puts them in your face.
Yes. We're going to get Time's orphan Kima all like scraggly and on a planet while the rest of the future's fine.
Yeah, we're getting Time's orphan again. That's what we're going back to. God damn it. Yeah, I just don't. It broke us. The episode broke us. And it was a combination of things, but the end of the season going how it has done. Whew.
Yeah, this is just not what I'm looking for out of sci-fi, and if I was looking for this out of sci-fi, I'd just go catch up on the fucking Marvel movies.
It's just Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And I hate them.
Yeah, I already don't like those. I could read a book that's not Star Trek. I could just read a book that's good, that isn't beholden to all this.
You can read a book that's bad.
Yeah, I could watch other sci-fi shows. Like, I could go watch The Expanse or some shit. Like, I don't have to do this with my life anymore, and we're not going to.
We are done.
No, we have a letter we promised to read.
We did. We have someone else who is done.
Yes. Do you want to read this?
I will find where is it? It's cool.
It's at the bottom of our emails.
There it is. It is Ryan's Star Trek Discovery ejection email. Ryan says, I just listened to the podcast on Discovery Season 2, Episode 13, and was thinking about how disappointing the season has been. I know it's been well documented on the show, but I wanted to provide my perspective as someone who is relatively new to the series, and to which Season 1 had been a big entry point to me. And that's true. Season 1 is a great way to get into Star Trek and the ideas of it, and watch. It's a great entry point to Star Trek. Season 1 of Discovery made me feel seen as a queer person of colour who always wanted to see myself represented in a cool space show. I connected with Burnham, an outsider who was villainized for starting a war that was probably going to happen anyway. I loved Tilly and the warmth of her personality brought to the show, and every moment where Stamets and Culber were given space to display empathy and care for each other felt like a breath of fresh air, where queer narratives are often tokenized. Fast forward a year later, and most of these characters are turned into cardboard cutouts of their former selves. Burnham suddenly cares about her biological mother that she never mentioned. Tilly is just a standard comic relief character, and it's heartbreaking. I cannot believe she's just Marvel character number 3. Stamets and Culber only just learned to healthily communicate with each other about their breakup at the end of the second season before the big plot happens. And then this episode they undid that anyway. So who gives a shit? Who cares? Who gives a fuck? The Discovery tagline. It's such a shame because I went into season 2 thinking this would be a more fleshed out version of what the first season was. I wanted Stamets and Culver to have room to breathe and process the trauma of last season. I wanted Tilly to go on fun dates and have her bisexuality be canonical rather than implied time and time again. She does have a space wife. At least that exists. But she's stuck in the past now. So that's gone. And I wanted Saru to overcome his anxiety through actual character development rather than genetics bullshit. God, don't we all? Star Trek has strived to be diverse, but I felt like the casting of Discovery actually achieved that goal. I love TNG, but I was hoping that Discovery Season 2 would be the Discovery's version of that. Because all of these characters deserve space where they're allowed to exist instead of goofy space plots. However, that's not at all the show we got, and while I'll always be fond of Discovery Season 1 and the way it made me feel at my time in my life, I've come to accept it's time to move on. The show is only interested in taking these characters through arbitrary plot beats instead of having them be actual people. And while I, on some level, appreciate that these diverse characters get to exist in a loud, bombastic show without objection, a more diverse version of Mass Effect 3 is not what I wanted. God fucking tell me about it. Discovery meant a lot to me, and it's very sad to see it turns into a hollow shell of the show it once was. The show it once was. Thank you for hanging in there during this awful run of episodes, and I'm looking forward to y'all getting back on track with the books.
I'm sorry.
So were we a few weeks ago, but the joy is gone. The spark is gone.
Spock's gone.
Spock's back, actually. He's shaved.
He's shaved.
He looks much worse.
He's fine.
Yep.
No, he has the same problem that Slap did. What's his face? Zachary Quinto. In that you can't look like Leonard Nimoy. Like nobody looks like that anymore. I'm sorry, you just can't pull off being Spock.
You can't do it. But thank you very much, Ryan. Sorry if anyone is very, very sad about seeing Star Trek this podcast go, then please let us know.
I mean, we're not going to change it for you, but I appreciate your regard. Yes.
I would like this has been our least popular show by quite a long wide margin, and we love doing it because we like Star Trek, and like that part's gone. So now but if this is a show you've appreciated, please tell us, tweet us. We'll let you know if we ever decide to come back to it.
Yeah, don't delete the feed because I guarantee we're going to do at least 2 episodes in the next couple of months, probably. So.
Yeah, no, there's episodes coming in the next few months, but it just won't be regular. But yes, I really would like any kind of like some validation about this journey so far. Have you enjoyed it? Have you enjoyed the books and stuff? Because another reason for this, it's just the show that we just don't get much feedback on. Outside of the Discovery episodes where everyone else is in the hell with us. And I would just like to know if you've been listening, if you valued the show or not, because that would mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. It's a sad note to go out on. I guess we'll see you at some point in the future when we do another episode for this feed.
If people want to find us, Jackson, why don't we run down everything else we do, actually everything? Because if you've only listened to this, we're done. So what else is there?
Yes, so if you've only listened to this, then we have a show that I would fiercely recommend called The Great Gundam Project, which is our Patreon show. is at patreon.com/abnormalmapping. It is $1 a month, and every week we watch 2 episodes of Gundam. And if you start from the beginning, which we did when we were in the middle of the early parts of Star Trek, you can just watch our politics cohere in slow motion. And it is now a full-on space communist podcast as we talk about anime and we talk about politics and we go on a journey together. It's a great show. It's my favorite show we do. It's a big part of my life in a way that we never expected. It was meant to be a throwaway show we did in addition to this. That's another point to say. Is when we started this, we didn't have a weekly Gundam show that was actually our main job. Yeah. Which it unquestionably is now. So I'd recommend you go there if you want some space conversations and good television. But we also have Abnormal Mapping, which is a game club. If you play video games, then we will also play video games. It is every month. Actually, this month there's 2, but it is every month. And we play a video game and we talk about it. And that's the whole thing. It's a regular game club. We have a great time doing it. We're surprised it's been able to go on so long. Because I never thought we'd still be doing this 6 years later.
No, absolutely not.
But we haven't missed a month yet, so you should join us there. I occasionally do the Amory Score. That was a more regular show, but due to life circumstances, it is much harder to get recorded because I do that with my friend Molly, and I'm very busy, and Molly is very busy and also has a very hectic, incredibly overwhelming work schedule and health issues to worry about. So we only record that when we can, but we have not forgotten about it. And the Amory Score is a good show where we go through the music and plot of the works of Coheed and Cambria. If you've never listened to that, it's good fun to start from the beginning. I recommend that. And we have another show coming in the future, but not right now. Not to be announced yet.
Yeah.
Start this. There will be one more podcast every month on average, I think, with the new setup. But it should be a little less work and a little less emotional for us.
Yes.
So it should be work out for everyone. But we'll let you know later when we finalize those plans.
Mid-May, probably. Mid-May.
That's big, I guess. So,
if you want to go. Did you say the website name? Abnormalmapping.com?
Abnormalmapping.com. It's there. There's a Discord link.
Jack, yes, the Discord link. Go in the Discord. We will continue to talk about Star Trek forever because the thing that happened with Discovery coming out is people started watching good Star Trek, and that's why everyone's mad now.
Yes. Yeah, we still like Star Trek.
Yes. Anyway, you can talk to us about Star Trek anytime you want. I never get sick of it. We'll be watching the season 3 in Picard, even if we don't podcast about it. Who says? Maybe we'll want to talk about Picard. Maybe it'll be good. Who can say? Don't believe it, but it might happen. Anything can happen.
No, the feed's here. It's never going away. We have a place for our Star Trek content, and you can keep up on it.
So you definitely hang out in the Discord if you don't. And then you can find Jackson on Twitter at HeadFallsOff. You can find me at EM_being, where, again, I will always talk to you about Star Trek stuff, because I like Star Trek a lot, despite all of this. And I think that's it. We will be back, but who can say when? 124 days for me might be a moment for you.
Fuck off.
So until that distant day when we return, we will see you out there.
Just even thinking about all good things makes me want to collapse.